At Arizona State University, we're bringing world-class education from our globally acclaimed faculty to you. Ranked #1 in innovation for 10 consecutive years and #2 among public universities for employability, ASU isn't just ahead of the curve, it's creating new paths to success. Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online, that's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
Ooh, later with Mo Kelly on KFI AM 640.
Let me do this final thought, and I've been thinking about this all day long, and I wanted to be clear on how I wanted to present it. But I was thinking about the movie industry, something we talk about every single day on this show, some form or another, but usually it's not connected to politics. Not always, but not frequently. But now it is. And I learned a long time ago, it's not what you do, it's how you go about it. It's not what you say, but how you say it and the words you choose. The Trump tariffs, as I said before in previous commentaries, the previous Trump tariffs, those will impact all of us in every facet of life if they come to pass. We still have this grace period before they may all take effect. And there's no real argument here. Those tariffs, if they take effect, will impact all of us. But just like where it's not what you do and what you say necessarily, it's also true that just because a problem is legitimate and trade imbalance is a legitimate issue and it needs to be solved, just because the issue is legitimate, it doesn't mean that any old proposed solution is the solution. In the past day, President Trump announced the following, quote, "I am authorizing the Department of Commerce and the United States Trade Representative to immediately begin the process of instituting a 100% tariff on any and all movies coming into our country that are produced in foreign lands," close quote. But he also said, "We want movies made in America again." Now, contrary to the president's popular belief, tariffs are not the magic pill for everything. But going back to it's not what you say, it's how you say it, and it's not what you do, but how you go about it. The president didn't either give the movie studios any heads up or consult them as to what movie studios and theaters thought the problems of their industry were. He may think tariffs are the solution, but they aren't. Not at all. Here's what I mean. Virtually every media stock was down today because they were blindsided by this. And I'm inclined to believe the movie studios know their industry better than the president or any president. And here's something else which has gotten lost in this, what I call tariff everything approach. Movies aren't goods anymore. They're services. They're distributed digitally. They're quote unquote manufactured in dozens of places simultaneously, not just where they're filmed. Post-production, effects, etc. are usually done any number of places around the world for the same movie, regardless of filming locations. So you may have a movie which is filmed in America, like Atlanta, Georgia. For example, most of the Marvel movies are now filmed in Atlanta, Georgia. Take Captain America, Brave New World. I'll use that as an example. Filmed mostly in Atlanta, but there were some scenes which were filmed in Oaxaca, Mexico, Tokyo, Japan, and in the Middle East, in Jordan. Now, are we going to penalize a movie like that? Or how about a movie like Mission Impossible, which routinely films at exotic locations around the world? Does that make those movies less of an American movie? And maybe its post-production is completed by an international agency. That is commonplace. You can't film a Mission Impossible movie all on location in America or some soundstage or with CGI. And honestly, you and I don't want that. There's also the reality that it costs much less to film internationally. And that's part of the labor issue. But putting tariffs on foreign, air quote, foreign movies, whatever that means, doesn't address any of that. You may have heard that the president blames Governor Gavin Newsom for this. Well, I would like to blame Governor Gavin Newsom for a lot of stuff, but this is not understanding the problem. This says that President Trump doesn't understand that movies and movie studios are no longer a Hollywood phenomenon. One of the biggest complaints about Newsom is that a lot of Hollywood has left for other states. I'm talking states like Georgia, talked about Marvel, North Carolina, and Louisiana. American movies are not just made in California. The infrastructure to make these movies, both big and small, are not necessarily connected to California at all. You have a movie like Rust with Alec Baldwin that was made in New Mexico. Movies routinely are not made in California. And that's saying nothing of the TV shows, which shoot in various places around the country and even internationally in Canada, which is a frequent stand-in for U.S. cities. Are these tariffs going to be placed on television shows? Again, how does that work? But this speaks to how you go about it. This speaks to how the power brokers should have been consulted first before announcing a policy which likely will not bring about the desired result because it hasn't been thought through and constructed with the actual industry players he's alleging he's trying to help. And lastly, just like the tariffs on goods, the other countries will have the opportunity to respond. China routinely denies entry of American movies, as do Russia and Taiwan. Some countries do not rely on our movies and don't care. They do not give a damn, and they don't need America to show their movies. Most people listening right now have no idea what the #1 movie in the world is. It's made over $2 billion in 2025, and I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. It's Ne Ja Tu. More than $2 billion. Not 1 million of which was made here in the United States. This issue is far more complicated than getting on social media and proclaiming tariffs on everyone. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly. For my final thought tonight, I was planning to talk about something different, and then the world happens. News happens. Something which kind of just pops up on your phone and takes you in a completely different direction. Well, I remember listening to classic Motown growing up on the original vinyl. I remember when my father was telling me about the songwriting prowess of Smokey Robinson after listening to the album Smokey Robinson and the Miracles Going to a Go-Go. I'm pretty sure it's still at my mother's house right now, somewhere in that house. It was originally released in 1965, but my father held on to all of his original Motown albums. But I don't remember a time not being acquainted with the genius of William Robinson Jr., better known as Smokey. Note, I said acquainted. Note, I said acquainted with his genius. Don't ask me about the man. Never met him. Don't know him. Couldn't serve as a character witness or speak on his 2 marriages. I can't offer any insight on his extramarital affairs, including a year-long one with Diana Ross. True story. But because, like I say, we don't know these people, there's publicly available information, but that's not personal knowledge of. I did, though, make mention of his marital issues because they will be part of a story which will be told surrounding his behavior, which will be laid out as part of discovery in a $50 million lawsuit filed today here in Los Angeles by 4 former housekeepers, accusing Smokey Robinson of sexual assault, allegedly repeatedly raping and abusing some of these women for years. Robinson's present wife was also named as a defendant in the lawsuit. The attorney representing the 4 plaintiffs articulated that these women are Hispanic women employed as housekeepers earning below minimum wage. That's one problem. And as low-wage workers in vulnerable positions, they lack the resources or power and options to protect themselves. The other implication being that Robinson's celebrity protected him, but that was previously. The suit alleges that Robinson assaulted one woman at least 23 times between May 2014 and February 2020, often in places in his home without security cameras, such as the laundry room. In addition, the suit alleges that he assaulted another former employee for at least 20 different times during the 12 years she worked for him, starting back in 2012. Also, according to the suit, Robinson would force her allegedly into his bedroom and perform a ritual of leaving his bathroom naked or nearly naked. Robinson has been a celebrity for the better part of 60 years. He is known the world over. There's no doubt he would have the power in any relationship, personal or professional. There's no way to know if Smokey Robinson did everything he has been accused of doing. There is, though, every reasonable way to suss out whether he did some of these things. The allegations are across multiple women, similar modus operandi over the course of multiple years. And there's the obvious question as to why Robinson had some 4 different housekeepers inside of a decade. Either he and his wife don't choose well when they hire, or there's a reason why these housekeepers keep leaving and you have this turnover. But see, that's the thing. We know their interview process about as well as we do his personal behavior. Ask me to sing Tears of a Clown. I'm your man. I'm the one to do it. But I don't know whether he repeatedly raped 4 women in his home out of the view of his internal security cameras. And the internal security cameras, that's something odd we'll be learning more about.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
And unless you're one of the plaintiffs, you don't know any of this either. This is not how I want to talk about Smokey Robinson in 2025. He's 85, I think, and like Bill Cosby, from a fan standpoint, this is not a line item I would have wanted on his news obituary whenever that day comes. Again, from a fan standpoint, because here's what I mean. The news obituary of Michael Jackson will forever include his 10 criminal indictments, his arrest, his mugshot, and even his ultimate exoneration. No matter what, all that will be in any documentary about Michael Jackson's life. And we can apply that same metric to Bill Cosby. The same will apply to William Smokey Robinson. No, that doesn't make me sad because I care more about justice than any supposed tainted legacy. But if there is any validity to these Robinson allegations, there are likely other women. We kind of been here before. Because again, there are patterns alleged here. Patterns allegedly over years, if not decades. Not to be snide, but I'm guessing that Robinson has had more than 4 housekeepers in his adult life. Just guessing. And this doesn't sound like a rather recent type of alleged behavior. Multiple things can be true here. Smokey Robinson can be arguably one of the greatest songwriters of all time, connected to arguably one of the greatest music labels of all time in Motown, and also can be a despicable person personally who may be liable in the repeated rapes and sexual assault of at least 4 women. And since this is not a criminal trial, there's no proof beyond a reasonable doubt needed, just preponderance of evidence. Whichever side boasts the majority of evidence in support of their claim, that's it. There's your winner. It's a much lower standard. The jeopardy will not include jail, but it very well might include $50 million at the sunset of Smokey Robinson's career. Because in the end, we don't know these people. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly. As we talk about or mention the JFK files, that's a perfect segue to what I wanted to talk about tonight. We all know about the conspiracy theories regarding JFK, his assassination. And it took me a while to figure out, but I think I now get the allure of conspiracy theories. They're easy, meaning they don't require any heavy lifting. They require no legitimate knowledge or expertise. The only thing they require is disbelief. How easy is that? Just disbelieve. Put the onus on the non-conspiratorial person to convince the conspiracy theorists of the facts which already exist. But you, as the conspiracy theorist, just disbelieve, no matter what. The conspiracy theorist needs not to prove anything. The flat earther demands that you convince him or her that the world is spherical because all the laws of physics, the photos, how satellites work, Galileo, Copernicus, and the Greek philosophers who predated both Galileo and Copernicus by a millennium. None of that matters. The responsibility of proof is still yours. You know, the sane person in 2025, because flat earthers only need to what? Disbelieve. And their cousins, the moon landing deniers. No amount of facts and science can overwhelm their disbelief. That is why conspiracy theories are so damn sexy. I'm talking thong underwear on a supermodel sexy. They can't see or hear anything else. Nothing else matters. For example, Professor and pundit Mark Lamont Hill sat down on the Joe Budden podcast. Joe Budden, if you don't know, is a rapper, not a very good one, and not the sharpest crayon in the box. But he has a podcast, just like everyone else, and a sizable audience, because dumb and stupidity have large audiences usually. When Mark Lamont Hill tried to press Budden and his cast of characters on whether they believe the earth is spherical or did we land on the moon, this is what happened.
So you don't believe like the people who left the earth and looked down at it?
Oh, hell no. Hell no, we don't believe them.
They don't believe in that, bro.
Hey, I'm not a flat earther.
I'll tell you this. I don't believe we went to the moon.
Let me ask you a question. Why we always get the same picture?
I know. From the same
angle. You go with
Mark, I'm sorry.
For thousands of years, we've determined that the earth is a sphere.
You got it, bro.
Okay.
I'm not saying it's not.
So why would you be open? That's like,
But you're not saying it is.
Exactly.
Hey, look, you said for thousands of
you
years.
believe in gravity. Like if I jump up in it, it's going to come down, right? Mm-hmm. If I came in and said I'm open to the fact that gravity doesn't exist, that would be like a strange thing, right? Because we have evidence of it. What's the evidence that the earth could be anything but a sphere?
Let me answer that for you. Prior to that, we quote unquote knew for a fact the earth was flat, right? Until that was disproven. Yes or no?
It's a little different.
What's the difference?
If I say I think there's nobody in that other room, based on my knowledge, there's nobody in that other room. That's the best knowledge I have. And then I walk in there and see somebody in the other room. And then you're still in here saying, well,
I don't believe you went in the other room.
So that's why I
That's
asked.
all. You may not have went. It's possible you could have told me that you went in the other room.
What if I sent you pictures? You see what I'm saying? Like, we have so much evidence of the earth being round, but also just how gravity, how the planet works. I mean, I can't tell if y'all joking.
No, they're kind of serious.
Serious, bro.
They right there. You can talk to them.
Yeah.
Never mind that many of the flat earthers are actually rich on some level, Joe Budden included. They're entertainers who've performed all around the world. Hear that? Around the world. Flying by private jet, Budden included. And yet somehow they never managed to happen upon the edge of the flat earth. They've never talked to any of their pilots and asked them about when they flew over the North Pole to take them to Europe or Asia or back to North America. They never watched the movie Independence Day and learned how satellites and line of sight worked instead of just having one for a would-be flat earth. If you had a flat earth, you wouldn't need all these other satellites. You would think they named it GPS as in Global Positioning System just for kicks and giggles.
I know why we have satellite disruption.
All right, go ahead.
Okay. Let's say that you wanted to coordinate with spaceships on different sides of the Earth. You couldn't send a direct signal, right?
Listen up.
You're talking about line of sight.
Yes.
Yeah, that's right, exactly. The curve of the Earth prevents it. You'd need satellites to relay that signal in order to reach each ship. Well, I found a signal hidden inside our own satellite system.
I know, but Mo, it's a movie. It's fiction. You want us to believe in a spherical Earth and aliens because of Independence Day? The sad irony is that these flat earthers will get on their mobile phones, use their GPS, and stream their dumbass podcasts around the world while arguing the world is flat, yet can't even explain how the world can be both light and darkness on a flat plane. Night and day, flat plane, not possible. Either we're all in light or all in dark. That is, unless the earth is, say it with me, spherical, just like every other viewable celestial body in the known universe except for asteroids and comets. The larger point is that the line of thinking, that line of logic has permeated every part of America. You see it on social media right now. You see it in our politics. You see it in our news coverage. We continue to elevate ignorance and present it as reasonable. It's not. But then again, that's the allure of conspiracy theories. They don't require you to be smart. They don't even require you to offer evidence. They don't require you to even think, just disbelieve. Ignorance is now in. Proudly ignorant. They congregate together in Facebook groups, and their influence is growing. We are a dumber nation today than 10 years ago, with a willful embrace. There used to be a time in which such flat earther ignorance would be treated as a scarlet letter and shamed accordingly. You don't know what the scarlet letter is because y'all don't read. But now conspiracy theorists are some of the most popular people in the world. They believe the 2020 election was rigged without evidence. They believe that 5G gives you cancer or superpowers. And they end up believing that you can become Secretary of Health and Human Services while disbelieving vaccines simultaneous to a major measles outbreak. We are, without a doubt, the dumbest nation on the planet. And we have all the evidence to demonstrate as such. And proudly so. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly. No, maybe it was just me. I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but the selection of a new pope today didn't seem as celebratory as in years past. I'm not a Catholic, okay? I'm not going to have the same type of feeling for the moment, and I admit that, but I went to a Jesuit Catholic university, Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. I kind of know what the fanfare around it feels like. It is and was a deeply emotional day for many people. But this particular day, this time around, felt really different. Not because of anything the Catholic Church did or what may have transpired during the conclave, because that is kept from the public for a good reason. But the public reaction to the selection of Robert Prevost as the 267th pontiff, who took the name of Pope Leo XIV, it was different. That's the only way I could describe it. At least different here in America, that public reaction. And I mean the reaction to the first American-born pope and the reaction to that here in the U.S. Judging by the responses from the news media to social media, you think they just selected the next Supreme Court justice or something. For some people, the new pope is too woke. You know who you are. Imagine making that your first thought and comment. As an aside, if you think a pope is woke, wait until you actually read the Bible and find all the red print which highlights the words of Jesus. Your head might explode. But I digress. And for others, the announcement of Pope Leo XIV was met with barbs that he is a homophobe due to his previous remarks surrounding gay marriage. You know who you are. But there was very little discussion, comparatively speaking, about actually leading the Catholic Church. There was a whole lot about his previous statements, about American political figures, and where he stands on issues such as Israel and Gaza. It's been pretty amazing to me, and I wasn't the only one who noticed it. The new pope may have been born in America and even attended college here in America at Villanova. But the pope doesn't belong to America or answer to America. He belongs to the world. And I don't know who needs to hear this, but no pope is chosen with your American political purity tests in mind. Not even one who happens to also be American. Even the selection of the pope is by secret ballot. Put another way, it ain't about you, not individually or politically. Is the pope in many ways viewed as a political figure? He can be. He can be as far as viewed. But American politics is not even in the top 150 items on his list. A pope may weigh in on issues of political or moral significance to the larger world, but his value as a pope will never be, and let me stress, will never be a reflection of your individual pet political beliefs at a particular time in particular portion of a particular country. Pope Leo XIV is ostensibly pope for life. Be that one day, 40 years, or some amount of time in between the two. Today was really strange, and I know Mark Ronner, he felt it was strange as well. Just sampling the feedback and analysis of who Robert Prevost, the cardinal, was and who Pope Leo XIV will be. And almost none of it, check this out, none of it had anything to do with Jesus Christ, the future of the Catholic Church, or whether his selection brings comfort to Catholics around the world presently. I was shocked, actually, and that's pretty hard to do. Even the news coverage was slanted to offer previews on where he might fall on controversial issues or whether he would be antagonistic to President Trump. I was thinking, y'all have it twisted. Y'all are worried about the wrong things. But then I remember, here in America, religion is for many an expression of their politics and nothing more. We put it in our bios. When I say we, I mean you. You put it in your bios on social media, not to tell everyone who and how we actually worship, but to signal to anyone reading what your political disposition is. Show me a social media bio with the word Christian in it, and I will show you a profile that talks mostly politics and virtually nothing about Jesus. Prove me wrong. I'll show you a profile which is clear on what they don't like, and who they voted for. Christian. It's almost like Jesus has nothing to do with anything called Christianity in 2025. Almost like that. Yeah, that must be it, because that's the only explanation as to why people are more concerned about whether the new pope is a woke Marxist, and that's a quote, or is a homophobe, and that's a quote, instead of whether he is a disciple of Jesus and good for the future of the Catholic Church. Believe it or not everything is about you, your politics, or even your God. For KFI AM 640, I'm Mo Kelly.
With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 300 undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.